you okay to start? Yeah. Okay, welcome everyone to this talk with Kaan Aykac, who works in digital retail and e-commerce at Louis Vuitton. And I am very pleased to welcome him back to LCF, not John Princess Street, but our new campus. But Kaan is an alumni of MA Fashion Design Management. And he's written his dissertation on supply chain optimization through RFID and AI technologies. He has experience from Petit Pli, consultancy work at Accenture and Deloitte, and he'll also talk about his experience at Louis Vuitton today. So we might have some people that'd like to get in if anyone would.
I'll be on the door.
Brilliant, thank you. Pleasure. And just to introduce myself, I'm Jeanne Langford, and I'm the course leader of MA Fashion Design Management. So I had the pleasure of having Kaan on my course in 2022 to 23. That being said, Kaan did a lot of work alongside studying as well. So I'm really excited to have the chance to discuss your career journey. There are quite a few students in the room, in particular from MA Fashion Design Management as well, but also other professionals. So we are really interested to hear about your work with AI. So please do write down any questions you have as we go along, but as we're not a huge group, we're also quite open to any kind of immediate questions. Just raise your hand and I'll see how it fits in and we can talk about it then. So, Kaan, please, if you can start us off with telling a little bit more about your background and your journey into a career in the fashion industry and now working for Louis Vuitton.
Definitely. So, I'm Kaan. First of all, great seeing you all here. Thank you so much for taking time to join. I think I have slightly a different background than some of you might have had here. Did not start my career in fashion. I studied in the US and did a bachelor's in economics, and then I joined consulting with Accenture and then Deloitte. So very business focused background. Had no idea or didn't even expect to go into fashion, to be very honest. But during those two consultancies, I had the chance to work with a lot of retail clients. So some of them were in fast fashion, some of them in high fashion, and it was a kind of almost like a decision maker situation for me to say, okay, I don't want to do oil and gas or healthcare projects anymore, but I just want to work in fashion, and that really requires you to jump into the industry instead of staying there. So after 2 years in consulting, I decided to finally pull trigger and then change industries. And it was a very interesting journey from then on, because the first question I asked myself is, okay, what skills do I need to succeed in it? First thing that came to mind was language. As you know, most high fashion brands are really either French or Italian. So moved to Milan, learned Italian for a year. Very nice experience. And then during Milan, I applied for LCF and then decided to do my master's in fashion design management. It was an amazing experience, to be very honest, because the first two parts, as I'm sure some of you are aware, we had a lot of really industry-focused, client-based experiences, which helped immensely with all the application processes. But I also decided that since I had the time to do a part-time career, I would work at a smaller brand to kind of understand how they work. So I did my internship or apprenticeship at Petit Pli, which is I don't know if anyone has heard it, but it is a children's wear company that does basically babies' clothes that grow with the baby. So it's a sustainability-based brand that was amazing to work for. And then for the second half, I worked in the retail, so in the New Bond Street store of Louis Vuitton, to kind of learn the brand, understand the client, and understand the product before joining LV full-time in their digital retail and e-commerce team right after graduation.
Amazing. And I just wonder, because you did do your master's project on AI, and how did you make use of your master's project to explore research, or how was it relevant for your career, and how do you utilize your master's project?
I think the best part of the master's project was picking something that I was really interested in, which was, again, supply chain and AI, because I had projects in it before. And how I really used it is, when you approach a company as a student that just wants to learn more about the industry, people are much more open to providing that information. Now, granted, I had a unique experience where I was working at LV while doing my master's thesis, but how that benefited me was I interviewed so many people from different branches within Louis Vuitton to get their perspective, which I would not have had otherwise. So I talked with supply chain, I talked with digital, I talked with different store managers, ops managers, stock controllers, basically everyone that you can imagine from the end-to-end journey of a product to understand how RFID and AI can be implemented, how it is at the moment, and how that can be taken further. But I think if, as like a small advice, really do utilize the project if you are doing it right now to reach out to as many different professionals as you can, even if you end up not using them in your thesis. Because it is incredible how people are more willing to respond to you coming from a master's program, and how you can kind of extract the information that you've gotten from them and then almost sell it back to them to secure different career opportunities, because they love that you're learning more about a field and then developing that further with a research project, and then going back to them and saying, this is all that I've gotten from you, but I've developed it, and then like feel free to take a read, let me know if you have any questions, and then see how we can work on it more. So it was very helpful.
Amazing. And let's move on to the work you did with Accenture. So maybe you can share with us how you work with AI solution during your time at Accenture.
Yeah. So Accenture was my first time in consulting, and the first project I had with them was for I think at the time it was the biggest fast fashion client company in the world. Can't give the name, sorry. But basically how they approached us was, we want you to find a solution that is disruptive in the industry that can help us with our profit margins. And as you can imagine, it's a very open-ended question. So we really started looking into these disruptive technologies, and considering that this was in 2018, AI wasn't as prevalent, and it was still kind of like companies were really iffy about, oh, do we want to invest in it? Do we want to do it? But we did propose an AI-based recommendation engine. And since the client did not want to implement it directly on their website as the biggest kind of selling point, we implemented first in their call centers, which was a very unique approach of basically looking at how the call center operators can increase basket size by offering complementary or supplementary products, and also reducing call times by basically coming to those points faster. Because one thing that we realized is clients or people were calling to say, I'm going to buy this, but what would work with it? And then if you're not trained in it, it is a very hard question. But if you have a software in front of you that is saying, oh yeah, immediately, if you're buying that top, then this would go well with it, then it is an amazing tool to have. And after a pilot program, we saw that it decreased the call times by about 20% and increased the basket size about 40%. So it was an amazingly successful tool that was then later implemented to some parts of the website, almost like an A/B testing platform. But it was a very unique experience because it was such a hard pitch to say, we don't have much data if this AI tool is going to work because it's still new, but we think it will work, and then getting funding to develop this tool from the scratch. So that was the journey that we did. It was a full 1-year project until it was fully implemented.
Amazing, thank you. And we might want to move on to talking about what you do now at Louis Vuitton. Mm-hmm. Would you like people to look at an app, or would you like to wait?
Yeah. So one thing that I would recommend, or maybe like a self-promotion here, is if you don't have it, look at the LV app. You can go ahead and download it now. It is on the App Store. But because one thing that I will touch on in a second is how the implementations of AI in digital and e-commerce is much more subtle than you can imagine. But yeah. So I mean, if you want to download it, you can download it. I think Kaan will talk about it a little bit later. If not, you can obviously do that afterwards. I mean, my question is if you can share with us your experience of how AI solutions have developed and how you're working with AI at Louis Vuitton. Yeah. So to start with that, I think I will categorize AI implementations in digital into almost 2 categories. One is the implementations that the client or the user knows that it is an AI tool, and one is the more implicit implementations that AI might be really working in the background, but you might not be aware that you're kind of interacting with an AI platform. So the most, I think, common implementation that we also have is, you may also like. any fashion website that you go to these days, you will see the You May Also Like feature under a product display page to kind of give complementary and supplementary product recommendations to, again, increase the conversion rate, but also increase your basket size to increase your average order value. That is the main implementation that we have in LV as well. And it is a very interesting tool because it is still in the early stages of how advanced it can get. Basically, how it works right now is it feeds from both universal data points, so it could be seasonal trends, it could be a new fashion show that is coming up, it could be commercial priorities that are set by the company at a high level, high management level, but it's also more personal data points that takes input from your purchase behavior, what products that you're looking at. If you have cookies, it can also kind of influx information from your journey beyond LV2, and then use all of that to give recommendations about what else you might buy. Again, the sophistication of the AI tool is immensely powerful here, because if you look at the page of, let's say, a new implementer, then the recommendations that you get might not be relevant. It really might be just, if you look for a scarf, it might be 4 other scarves that are not AI-based, but just, here are 4 other scarves that we manually inputted. But if you do use sophisticated tools, then it almost becomes personalized, because it shows you what you would want before you even knew it, which is almost like a very almost scary approach, because then immediately when you look at it, you say, yes, I love that and I will buy it. And then that is the goal of all AI tools. And the more sophisticated ones are going to start using even cursor behavior, your time on each different page. It's not just about what you look at, but how you looked at it too. One data that we use right now, not for AI, but for general too, it is click recurrence, which is basically how many times you click on a specific part of the page. And basically the higher it is, the worse it is, because it shows that the client is not getting exactly what they wanted from that button. Like if I'm clicking on a title thinking that it is a CTA and it is not going anywhere, then either it should look less like a CTA or it should go somewhere. So even that kind of information will feed into AI tools to say, okay, the client did spend a lot of time in these shoes, but it wasn't the right time. Like they didn't like it, so maybe we should not push that into the product recommendation engine. So I think that is one part that we're doing. And the second part is, the reason that I asked you to download the LV app is, for those of you that did it, if you go to the search bar and search for trainers, the second product that you will see will be white trainers. And if you click on that and tap on the virtual try-on at the top of the image, then it is the functionality that is becoming more and prominent about how you can try on shoes without going to the store. There's a lot of research around how, and this is a Google Analytics research too, about how one of the biggest friction points why people are not buying online is because they cannot try the products. And they will decide to go to the store, or they will just end the purchase funnel at that moment. But by tools like this, it is becoming more and more feasible to try these at home. And I think this is the second category that I was talking about, of AI tools that might not look like AI. Because virtual try-ons is powered by AI models. The more sophisticated the model is, the better the augmented implementation looks like. When it was first came out, it was just static images that are overlaid into a kind of just like a video. And that was actually my application project for the design management program too. But now the more advanced AI tools use these polygon-based AI technologies that will automatically align the polygons so that it looks amazing. And right now, the most advanced brands like Louis Vuitton will implement this on trainers, watches, jewelry. Some other implementations, like what we do, is stacking of jewelry now, which is new. So you can try multiple jewelry on. But the next step of this is going to be really ready to wear, because it is extremely hard to do a very realistic jacket or a dress, because the polygon number increases exponentially. You need to account for gravity, you need to account for wind, you need to account for body shape and size. So that is going to be the natural next step. And what I don't see right now is also, I think, how the first one and the second one is going to combine. and this is not what I'm saying we're doing at LV right now, but this as a personal opinion, I think the next step is going to be creating those two so that you try on a jacket in augmented reality or even virtual reality, and it overlays on shoes that you didn't even ask for as a product recommendation engine that is still AI based.
Amazing. And is there anything, I'm just picking up on some of the things you're saying, can you elaborate how this is AI powered? You say it doesn't look like, and you explain it, but is there kind of more details to it? You can see how AI helps with it and make it better and better.
So anything that is real time, AI helps with immensely. Because if it is real time, then the amount of computational power that is needed to generate that engine is very high. And that's why the ready-to-wear becomes so hard too. How virtual reality or virtual try-ons work is they basically map out the outfit on a 3D modeling software, and every line or dot you see is called a polygon. And basically, if it is AI powered, then it is so much faster to compute, okay, because the dress's top moved this way, then the bottom is going to move this way, and because of the gravity effect, then it's going to fall twice and then stop. Whereas if you don't have that, that is a more rule-based system of it is standstill. If it swifts to the left, it's going to go right one more time and then stop. So it just gives more sophistication to the tool itself. That is still very high level because, again, I'm not a developer or an expert in this, but that is the amount of knowledge that I have about how AI is powering these tools. And again, the more kind of visuals you feed into it, the better the model is and the better the output is too.
Amazing. Very interesting. And I suppose maybe not necessarily for Louis Vuitton, but from your experience and your knowledge about it, where do you see the most promising use of AI implementation for the luxury industry? So if we look at the industry. So
I think it's twofold. I think one is the evolution of, you may also like, in the sense of AI-based almost personal assistance. Now there's even like Google ads that are powered by AI. Basically, if you search for a specific product on Google, then on the shopping ad, you can change the size, you can change the kind of person that you are to get a better understanding of what that product would look on you. So even without you clicking on any link, that is all already there. And I think the next step is going to be your Alexa for fashion, or basically implemented directly into Alexa or ChatGPT, saying, I have a gala today, it's going to be on this topic, the weather. You don't even need to say the weather because it already has it. It has your agenda and calendar too, so you don't even have to say, I have this kind of gala. Basically saying, what should I wear today? And it's saying, well, you have a work meeting at 12, so you should look professional, wear this jacket. But then you have an event at 8 p.m. going to this kind of restaurant. I looked at the Google images. People are dressed in these kind of vibes normally. So maybe let's match that jacket with loafers instead of like a more formal outfit, and then give you a full recommendation. My personal thought is that. And I think the second part is going to be customizing the real feeds of social media. Right now, the feeds are still very much powered by AI. So when you're scrolling it, the next thing that you see are based on your preferences and global data inputs. And I think that's going to come to a point where, like now, TikTok is basically the biggest shopping app. And it's going to come to a point that as you're scrolling in TikTok, you're going to see more and more relevant stuff, almost like a shopping app. It is no longer social media, but everything in there is trying to sell you the most accurate thing that you may want. So I think it is, like in conclusion, I think it's hyper-personalization. Like everything that you see becoming extremely tailored for you without anything being a global output from a brand. Because the more general you make something, the less return that you get on it. So that's why even on our emails that we send for marketing, everything is targeted. It is for people who bought this before and who might have spent like this before, and then send it out different emails to different people. So I think making that even like just instant and more personalized is going to be the next step of AI in fashion.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you.